In this video, let's look at 3 important settings to click super sharp images of birds in flight, and we'll also look at 2 bonus settings. Let's talk about 3 important settings to click super sharp pictures of birds in flight. Number 1, an appropriate shutter speed. So what do we mean by appropriate shutter speed? When we are clicking pictures of birds in flight or birds in action just moving around from one twig to the other, we need a fast shutter speed to freeze that action. If you're clicking pictures of larger birds with slow flying speeds, you are going to be able to get super sharp images at 1,000th of a second. But if you're clicking smaller birds or birds such as the falcon, which is one of the fastest birds in the air, 1,000th of a second is not going to be enough to freeze that action. You will need at least 1/2000th of a second, or sometimes shutter speed needs to be as fast as 1/4000th of a second to freeze that action. Let's have a look at this picture. This is a picture of a wagtail perched on the ground, clicked at 1,000th of a second. But when this wagtail shivers around, even 1,000th of a second is not fast enough to freeze that action. So the first important camera setting that we've spoken about is choosing an appropriate shutter speed for freezing the speed of that action. Let's talk about the next important setting to click super sharp pictures of birds in flight, and that is your autofocus mode. When clicking pictures of birds in flight or other fast moving wildlife action, we need to set our autofocus mode to AFC, which is autofocus continuous, or AI servo on Canon cameras. When we keep our autofocus mode to continuous and tap down the shutter release button, the camera continues to update the focus even when the subject is moving around. This is especially crucial when clicking pictures of birds in flight. If we don't set the autofocus mode to continuous, instead we have it on single, the camera is not going to update focus once the subject moves around, and consequently the subject will be out of focus. The next setting that I want to talk about to click super sharp images of birds in flight is a setting that's not often spoken about, but I find that it is one of the most crucial settings to ensure that our pictures are super sharp, and that is the tracking sensitivity. What is tracking sensitivity? If I'm clicking a picture of a bird and I have my single autofocus point aligned on the head of the bird or the eye of the bird, and momentarily another bird comes in the way, overlapping that focus point, this setting decides whether I want my focus to immediately refocus on this new bird or stay on my original bird longer. If I set my sensitivity to responsive, my camera is going to immediately refocus on this new bird as soon as it overlaps that focus point. But if I keep it locked on, that focus will stay on the original bird longer. So that way, even if a twig or something else comes in the way, I am still tracking my original subject. This is especially useful when clicking pictures of birds in flight. So once I have my focus point locked on the head of the bird, even if the bird goes off that single focus point for a brief second here and there, that focus is still locked on the head of the bird. So that way I'm in a better position to get consistently sharp pictures as compared to if it's more responsive. If I have it on responsive, the camera is immediately going to focus on the sky or whatever else is in the way of that focus point the moment the bird leaves that focus point. On Nikon cameras, you'll find this setting in the autofocus menu under focus tracking with locked on, and I have it on delayed as much as possible at 5. On Canon cameras, I have my tracking sensitivity locked on to -2, so that way my focus is locked on my subject longer. Let's look at a couple of bonus settings. One of them I briefly mentioned earlier, and that is focus area. I generally set my focus area to single point. If necessary, when clicking birds in flight, I might change that to a single point with 4 assist points. That's the most I will go. Using the entire spectrum of focus points might not be the best option, because when we do that, the camera has the liberty to focus on the sky or on maybe the wing of the bird, and consequently the head of the bird will be out of focus. So it's important to narrow that focus area either to single point or just those 4 points around the focus point for best results. The second bonus setting that I want to talk about is aperture. When clicking pictures of wildlife, we invariably set our aperture to the widest possible value on the lens. That also helps us in getting faster shutter speeds. However, when you're clicking pictures of birds with wider wingspans, you might want to stop down to f8 so that you get sharpness across the entire wingspan. Now you know 5 important settings to click super sharp pictures of birds in flight. If you'd like to learn more about how to click super sharp pictures of wildlife, I have more videos on my channel that you can watch that talks about the end-to-end workflow, all the visible and invisible settings on a camera to click super sharp images. Please go watch those videos and integrate that information with the information that I just gave you to click better pictures.